And there it is. It's the Matt Mosley Show on Friday edition. And the Z-Man in for Scotty Swingler. Scotty loves a good long weekend. Something about a wedding. Z-Man, I don't know. Scotty is the best man allegedly in a wedding in Northeast Texas. I think it's out Mount Pleasant direction. I'm going to need to see, I'm going to need to see the best man speech. I'm going to need to hear about it. This is going to be a kind of interesting. Hope he does a good job. That's a lot. He's got the bachelor party to be in charge of. He's got rehearsal. And then he's got the wedding. He's doing everything but officiating. In fact, they may call upon him to do something like that. But Z, always great to be with you. And to pull back the curtain just a little bit, Z, you and I were together until about 2:15 this morning or 2:30 as I waited up and you were producing the Doomsday podcast, which can also be heard right here at Rogue Media Network. That thing's been downloaded thousands upon thousands of times. And so great work by you, Z, and late into the evening, man. So you and I not working on a ton of sleep. People do not seem to respect, Z, in our world, that maybe we stayed up later than most humans. Because if you're like me, I had several calls, text, people really buzzing my tower this morning trying to get with me. And, they just can't, telling them, hey, I was up late does not seem to mean that much to folks. So, Z, we're both a little, I think you were just down there getting coffee. I'm having a lot of coffee, but it is great to be on the Matt Mosley Show. And it's great to be with you, man. How are you functioning today?
Barely. Like you said, very caffeine led or fueled, that's I don't have a better way to describe it, but I'm getting by. The weekend's coming up. We got college football to watch and enjoy. We got more, NFL football. So I'm just trying to use that to kind of like the carrot on a stick in front of me to get me to the weekend. I say that I know I still have things to do on the weekend too, but
that's okay, buddy. I mean, just keep rolling. I will be at Baylor SMU tomorrow. I'll be calling in. I'll be part of our Green and Gold Game Day show, which we're continuing to grow. We want to encourage people to sign up for that. Find that on YouTube and just do a search, Green and Gold Game Day Game Day show, and it'll be good. We'll have TV, KWTX, Channel 10, and then I'll be at the game, calling in, doing things from the hilltop, which is what they call University Park, where the SMU Mustangs play. And Zach, it's only been 39 years since the Mustangs have beaten the Bears. Let's not start now. My gosh, I'm tired of talking about SMU. I mean, I know they're good and they're in the top 25, but I want Baylor to be good. They look good at times, especially late last season. I think that Auburn thing, they kind of took a step back, but they certainly had their moments in that game and were throwing it. And I'm told SMU has some weaknesses in that secondary. So, Zach, maybe the Bears will come out and try to slice and dice them. I do want to say this will be kind of fun. The new host of this college football kickoff show on Locked On Sports. Locked On, man, they got 1 million people with them, including our own Cam Stewart. Our old buddy Drake Toll hosts a new show there, and the star of that show, certainly not Drake, the star of that show is Gary Patterson, the former TCU coach. And so TCU head coach Gary Patterson, we had our ups and downs. I would say, for a lot of that time, because I'm a Baylor guy, I was more of a Team Bryles guy, and you had to be on one or the other. And then, not that I jumped off. I mean, I'm still talk to Art, so know anybody like, oh, Mosley's a fair weather friend. But somehow, in the post time of that, Gary and I became buddies. Gary Patterson and I, and so look at that, Z. I turned on my ring light. If that's too much, tell me. I'll kind of turn it down. But I just decided, it kind of does blind me a little bit. I wear my sunglasses. This is really, I don't function very well without them. I don't see them around. So Gary Patterson at 2. That'll be fun. I think people will kind of come rolling in to hear from Coach P. I just put that out there on socials. Z, all your social stuff. I know you'll be touting that, but it'll be good. Boy, I'm learning some of the tricks of the trade, Z. The other day, I got to say, I'm like, wait, this doesn't make sense. Over the years, I've developed, and of course, I made an idiotic move. When I left ESPN, I left them all my followers. And that was crazy. Like I had moved my follower anyway, but I've built it back up, have a pretty good following on Twitter. I mean, we're up around 40,000. It's kind of hovered there and I'm sure we'll take it higher than that. But it's a good number. And I looked the other day, I shouldn't do this. See, you shouldn't look at other people's paper. You shouldn't you shouldn't. It's the thing about Facebook. We shouldn't be, because if you look around at everybody's Facebook, it looks like everybody's always taking a trip and they're in the mountains or they're at the beach. And you're like, why am I not there? Why am I not in Bora Bora? What am I doing here doing a podcast with Z?
Wow, hold on. Okay, well, fine.
No, I love doing this.
I'm at least Bora Bora worthy, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no matter where I am, Monte Carlo, wherever, I would be wanting to do a podcast with you. But I happened to look at the Pete Souza show, and it was like, and I know they've been at this for a while, but it was like 86,000 subscribers to the deal. And I'm like, why are we not there already? Where are the Mosley numbers? Where are the because I did, many years ago, I left my perch in Dallas. For 10 years, I was on in a top 5 market in Dallas. And then I had a pretty long run, 7 or 8 years in Waco on ESPN Central Texas. So what we're doing now is alerting all my people where we are, where we're doing this. But Z, I'm not going to say what it is, but my man, and I think Scotty Swingler's helping out a lot, but my man, Pete, there are some tricks of the trade. And I have no awareness of any of this, but Pete knows he knows where to find the subscribers. And what we will do, Z, in the next few weeks, we will go to the Pete Honey Hole. I don't know, that sounds weird. We'll go to wherever Pete's, fishing for all this stuff. And we will go to the same. We're going to find a thing. And I don't want to I'm not trying to siphon people off, but we need all those people to also join Mosley. All right. Pete's somewhere right now. I mean, Pete doesn't know what we're doing because Pete's off
somewhere, I think.
He's at the bounce house.
I texted him.
He's interviewing.
I texted him this morning. And he was too busy in meetings, is what he told me.
Sorry, I'm in meetings. I'm talking to Scott Frost, who couldn't win at Nebraska, so he had to go back to UCF. Who are they even playing? It's somebody weird.
It's a D. See, I'm going to get off and call it a D2 school when it might not be.
It's like FCS. They're probably like FCS. It's certainly not I don't think it's an FBS school.
NCA&T, North Carolina A&T.
Oh, I like them. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they can play for. They're not D1. I think that would probably be like FCS or something. North Carolina A&T. I think that's an HBCU, and we have great respect for those schools. But anyway, they're going to get bounced right out of the bounce house. Boy, look at you with that caffeine. You're not a coffee guy. You're Mr. Soda.
I'm caffeine anyway. I can take it, but usually I do have a point around lunchtime. I won't. I like to drink coffee late in the day.
Is it past lunchtime? I haven't even kept up.
Are we 1:22?
This is weird. I've done a show for years, 3 to 6, and I can't get out of my mind. Like when I talk on the stream or whatever this is, like I feel like it should be a certain time of the day, and it's not. It's like midday. And somebody explained to me why we're doing it. It's like, to me, it's kind of like, would I want to do it at a time when most people are used to listening to me? But that's fine. I think people will find me. But man, you're working on that caffeine, that Coke. I'm worried about you because you had you had a little health scare about a year or so ago, or a year and a half, 2 years ago. Now you look great. You're feeling great now. But I don't want you to start downing a bunch of Diet Cokes and bring anything back, because you scared some of us a couple of years ago. But boy, you've come rolling back. So anyway, that's all you want is to get on with Mosley and just have him bring up some of your health scares. Let's go over your health history. Let me put up some of your charts here on the on the deal.
Like my doctor's appointment I went to a couple weeks ago, and we got to go through my history of like. You feel like you're going to ask about my parents next or something.
Well, you lost a bunch of weight during that one health scare.
I did, but I found some of it, so that's okay.
I saw you the other day. I'm not saying anything because I can't talk, but you've come back. You've made a comeback in that department, so you're doing fine. Like you and I, we just both need to find a happy medium there. Okay, we do need to talk Cowboys, and Z. It was It was one of the great moral victories. If you believe in moral victories, it was, let me see here. I really like during live shows messing with my camera. Oh, there it is. I like that. Okay. I'm trying to get it. It follows me too much a little bit, Z. So there we go. All right. That's what I love, a live stream for that very reason. All right. We Cowboys lose. Thank you, Ascension Providence. The great lawyers that we have with Cherry, Johnson, Sigmund James. That's awesome. And Central National Bank, our presenting sponsor, and then Brazos Landing. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And you see Ascension Providence, love having them. We just have incredible sponsors that have already, it's like even in the early days of this YouTube, it's like before we even knew how to like turn it on, which I'm still basically there. I'm still like, hey, how to turn this thing on? They were there with us. They came rolling in, and we appreciate that so much. Now, Z, anytime you want to show some of this, because I'm about to start talking about what happened last night, I would just say that Dak, I mean, what a crazy start. After watching that whole Netflix thing and Jerry talking about there's always a soap opera, even Jerry couldn't have orchestrated that start. I mean, we're ready for the game. You got the opening kickoff, which people barely watch, and they're going to cart off a player for the Eagles. And that was sad. It was a fullback, and you're like, man, that's a bummer. And then you realize, hey, something's going on. And there's a penalty, and somebody's been penalized. And next thing you know, Mike Tirico on the broadcast, old friend of mine, by the way, Mike Tirico is saying Jalen Carter has been tossed from the game. And this is one of the great things about YouTube that we can do now, is we can show some of this. And this is the aftermath. This is what, and later in the deal, we found out kind of more about what led to this, but it should have never led to what Jalen Carter did, the best defensive player for the Philadelphia Eagles. And Z, if we kind of zero in, I'm looking real quick. Now, at least he didn't go to his face. He leans back, and there's that projectile loogie, spit, gleek, whatever you call that. Now,
it's more than a gleek. That was more than a gleek.
Like I can spit with the best of them, and whether it be sunflower seeds or and I'm not a tobacco guy, but like I've been in dugouts, I've been on tennis courts. I'm constantly feeling the need to spit. And then, it's gross. It's just gross, but we do it. We're guys. And I'm not saying girls do it too. I mean, female athletes, male athletes, this is not males don't have the market cornered on it. Some males spit better than others. Like I've been told Reggie Jackson back in the day was a great spitter. Baseball players are better spitters because they chew more tobacco and they just have to constantly be spitting. And when they have a big chaw, they know how to do it, and they know how to do it with force. That was pretty good because that was pretty, like Jalen Carter had to spit, and he went low with it. And so he didn't go to the face, but he went to kind of like the neck. Now, the amazing thing about Dak Prescott's reaction to that, Z-Man, is that I like it. He's going to go right back to it. Look at this. Look at Dak. Dak did not even, like most American males, react to that moment with a fight. Those are fighting. That's a huge sign of disrespect. He just spit. He just put spit right below your face. That's time to fight. Look at Dak. Look at the calm. He puts out his hand like to see, did the ref see that? And then you have that random ball boy or whoever just kind of like, what did I just see? What did I just stumble into? What a moment. What a crazy moment in this rivalry. Add it to Bounty Gate, Buddy, and Jimmy, which, by the way, I mean, if you're going to do a Netflix thing and you're not like going to show the whole Jimmy Buddy thing, come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Create enough time to show all that. That's been an incredible documentary. I have saved the final one. This is going to be the one I'm kind of mad about because this will be the first time that Romo comes in, and that was the era I was way plugged in and covering the team. Never heard from the Netflix folks. I mean, I was only covering it for the Dallas Morning News and ESPN.com, and literally they put like, that guy we used to have on ESPN Central Texas, like RJ Ochoa, who no one's ever seen at a Cowboys game ever. I think he's on. I think they interview him. I mean, not that I'm bitter. Z-Man, that happens, and the Cowboys do exactly what they need to do. It's double team blocks. It's zone. It is beautiful. Javonte Williams. It's Dak. It's short passing game. It's CD. It's let's take it right down the field. Let's establish ourselves in this game. What we saw in that first half was what we pray we see to start a football season. It was just track meet. It was a shootout. And the sad thing was, Zach, what were the Cowboys missing? What was the one thing the Cowboys were missing in that first half? Any semblance of a pass rush. And you go, Matt, didn't Jalen, didn't Hurts, didn't he have to scramble some? Yeah, why do you think he scrambled after sitting back there for like 4 or 5 seconds? It was like some of those old Monday Night Football games where Donovan McNabb just got to sit back there for like 13 seconds one time. One time he waited back there 13 seconds before completing a bomb against the Cowboys circa like 15, 16 years ago. You remember it, Z. You were a very young man. You were probably still in high school, and it happened. It happened. And that's what it felt like. No pass rush. No pass rush. He's just like, dup, look down the field, and then he just scrambled. Then he ran for. I mean, like, think about the Cowboys. You hold the great Saquon to 60 yards. You hold the Eagles to 24 points. You got to kind of think, we got a chance. We got a chance. We got Dak. We got Georgie P. We got CD. We got a chance in this game. And they did. They had a great chance. How many times do we have that same conversation, though? How old does it get? And Z, by the way, is not a Cowboys fan. He wears his Rangers cap with great pride, but somehow he's like a Texans fan. We won't go into the explanation again, but he watches because he knows it's what we talk about. It's what our people have a passion for. And to how many times after games do we have to have that conversation? How well they played, or how many opportunities they had, and they should have won, and they left a great opportunity out there. That feels like every Cowboys season, over and over and over again, even in those seasons that they won 12 games, like back to back to back. I mean, McCarthy won a bunch of games. Mm-hmm. Love him or hate him, the guy won a ton of games, but of course they couldn't get it done in the playoffs. And so then it became, well, maybe if they're kind of a little bit rough in the season, but they get to the playoffs, maybe that's better. Come on, give me a break. You have to win enough games to even get there. I would say this, though. I don't know how you couldn't have watched that game last night if you're the Commanders or Giants or other teams on the Cowboys schedule, the Packers. Game's happening on the 28th. And thought, Cowboys might be pretty good. But there's no way you could watch that first half. And I had the Mosley jokes were rolling. the Mosley Twitter jokes and everything. But there's no way you watch that game and you don't think, wow, what if they had like Micah in this game chasing it? Because it just wasn't there. Ezaraku's young, first game, rookie. Fowler was doing the best. He's number 13 out there. Sam Williams was doing the best he could. He had his moments later in the game. Fowler even had a couple of moments later in the game. The new guy, Kenny Clark, that they traded for, 5 tackles, got some penetration, certainly didn't play poorly at all. But what you didn't, this whole thought, we're going to scheme up a pass rush and we're going to be better against the run. First of all, Hurts embarrassed him with his legs. And I will say, after the weather delay, the defense woke up and played its tail off. And whether it was Nealon getting a sack, whether it was because of the coverage, or whether it was because of some of those cornerback blitzes, which they were off on their blitzes. But, man, I'm not going to say anything bad about Diggs or Bland because those dudes held down the Eagles. Now, part of it is because Hurts kept being able to run, right? It was like that Baylor game. But poor Jackson Arnold, I had flashbacks to Jackson Arnold running all over Baylor. But, man, Z, that was tough. I will say A.J. Brown didn't have a catch until very late in the game. Devontae Smith did nothing. Dotson did hit him on a big play. That one was on Kyer Elam. So in terms of like what they threw for against Bland and Trayvon Diggs, nothing. And Diggs is known for giving up some yardage. He's also known for a lot of interceptions and being great at tracking the ball. But here's the thing. They turned the ball over in the red zone. Horrible turnover by Miles Sanders. Z, you've watched him for years. He used to be with the Eagles. You can't, like if you're a running back and you get out in the open field and you're like a major frontline type running back in the NFL, you really can't let a linebacker track you down. It was impressive of Zach Bond to do that, but he went and got him, and then they didn't get in the end zone. It was huge. There were 2 huge tackles in that game from behind. One was Zach, and one was Dak. Ball comes out of there. Was it on that fumble? Z, yeah. The Miles fumble. I'm trying to think how the ball came out of there. Anyway, yeah, I think it was a Miles Sanders fumble. Yeah. And Eagles get that ball, and there's nobody. There's a chance they're going to go 87 yards or whatever it would have been. They're about to take that thing to the house. I think that was Quinshawn. It's Quinshawn's last name, Mitchell, the cornerback for the Eagles. Those linemen were the only ones around. Nobody's going to catch him. Dak reaches out, makes a nice tackle, and then the Cowboys. I think right after that was the weather delay wasn't far after that, and the Cowboys had a hold. Cowboys were able to hold on that. I did want to say, Z-Man, and the show's flowing. So, oh my gosh, Z.
Mm-hmm. You're on a roll.
Goodness gracious, you've got to just give me a sign at some point. Just give me the stop sign or something. Yeah, we'll do some Campus Confidential. Z's got a few thoughts. I did though want to say real quick. Let's go ahead and do let's get the CD ready because that was just such an enormous part of that game, and what a disaster. What a disaster. CD's such a great player, had over 100 yards, was having a great game until he wasn't. And there was the catch across the middle or the drop across the middle that they needed to extend a drive. There was the catch, would have been a great catch. I say would have been a great catch. The one on the post late in the game, Dak hits him in the breadbasket. It's right there. It's on the numbers. And the ball just goes through his hands. Okay, huge. And then with the game on the line, 4th and 3, you got to have it. Cowboys have single coverage. They got one-on-one out on the left side. Dak's like, I'm going to let my man win this battle. He does. He puts the ball out there. Dak dives. That's a tough catch. But, again, we just watched Netflix. The other 88s, in the big moments. Come on, Drew. Come on, Dez. Well, Dez, I guess, had the moment against Green Bay. Did he catch it? Did he not? Thought he kind of did. But Michael Irvin, come on. You know he makes those catches. That was tough. That was tough. And so what I wanted to play for you was late last night. This is CD addressing what it was like and where his headspace was after those 3 drops.
I know you're upset with yourself, man. How do you put it into words? How it went down?
Man, that's terrible. Honestly, I feel like, I can't point no fingers at nobody else, you know what I'm saying? And I take full accountability and everything else that come with it because, as for me as a player, I've prayed for moments like that, you know what I'm saying, and the ball to come my way. And obviously for me to not come up with it, bro, it stings a little bit. But I will tell you, if you think I'm not coming back any times harder than this, you got another thing coming.
How surprised were you just because, you talked in training camp about how, the key thing was, you had to drop the ball, and I don't know if you had 2 drops off the camp.
Yeah, I didn't. But, hey, God has a mysterious way of humbling folks. And I did come in with a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. But, again, it's a lesson well learned. And, again, I deserve everything that come with it.
So you went to the tent. You good?
Oh, yeah, all is well. They made me go to the tent because I sat down on the field a little too long for their liking. So they just wanted to do a little,
CD, does one bother you more than the other?
Nah, they all sting the same, honestly. But the ones down the stretch kind of hurt me a lot because, I pray for those. I pray for those type of things. But again, it's game 1. I'll be back. I just hope everybody else ready.
Do you think about them and that motivates you, or you try to move past it as quickly as you can?
A little bit of both.
Obsess about it?
A little bit of both.
What did you like about the first half of the team?
You don't win the game in the first half. You don't win the game in the first half.
What are your thoughts on the offense in general and the way it performed tonight?
We put up a nice, we had a couple stretches where we were looking like the team that we were supposed to, and then we ended up turning the ball over, having drops. And, for example, mine, all of them, honestly. And I just feel like we have so much more room for improvement, and we can definitely be the team that we want to be. Just put our head down and continue to work.
We know you're going to be hard on yourself, but can you look past that to see just how promising the offense looked?
I will look past it. But right now, I'm definitely going to look at this film and dread every drop. That's for sure.
Do you think playing in the preseason would help at all?
Nah, that ain't got nothing to do with what's going on right now. I need to catch the damn ball.
Thanks.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, good accountability. You do not want to go sneaking out of that locker room. I'm not saying players haven't done it in the past, but he couldn't talk about anything else. I could hear my buddy Mike Ducey in there. Mike's got a good calming voice. He knew how to ask the proper questions of CD. Those are tough, man. Z, I've been in a lot of those losing locker rooms over the year. You just get used to it. You got to ask the tough questions. You try to do it in a sensitive manner. But what a tough feeling and what a tough deal. Now, Z, I've loved this so far. Man, we've gone flying through the first part of this show. We do have Gary Patterson coming up at 2:00. Mm-hmm. And Gary's now part of the YouTube community. He's out there doing a Locked On podcast kind of thing. And so Scotty will tell you, Z, I worry about everybody. Can they get on the deal? Mainly because I'm seeing everything through the lens of me. Like, can I get on this link? He'll be able to accomplish it. I actually told him to bring his guitar. And in case he's working on anything new, he could strum a few bars for us. And he's good. We'll have him on for.
I didn't know he was a musician. I got to be honest.
Oh, Patterson, yeah, he writes music. He performs live. He did a show at Baylor one time, believe it, when he was a good consultant. And they had some donors come in for a big dinner. The after dinner or during dinner entertainment was none other than the coach himself, Gary Patterson. You'll recall his short time as Baylor.
Yeah, I do.
The Baylor consultant when he was in green and gold for a little bit, which is very funny. All right, Z-Man. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's take a short break, and then let's do some Campus Confidential, and then we'll get ready for Gary Patterson. All of that coming up next.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge,
Yes?
and you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Collin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
Transform your workspace with Hanomi Ergonomics. From adjustable chairs to standing desks, we provide solutions for comfort and productivity, whether at home or in the office. Improve your posture, reduce strain, and work smarter. Visit us at hanomi.co today. That's HINOMI.co today. Unlock a world of convenience with Mosley Box, your one-stop solution for personalized subscription boxes delivered right to your door. Each box is tailored to your taste. Experience the joy of surprises. Subscribe today at mullybox.com. That's MULLYBOX.com. Unlock your full potential with Onnit, your go-to for premium supplements, fitness gear, and wellness essentials. Whether you're training hard, recovering faster, or just looking to feel your best, Onnit has the tools you need to perform at your peak. Visit Onnit, that's ONNIT.com, and elevate your mind, body, and spirit today. At Rolls Rolla, we don't just sell wallpaper, we create cohesive, cozy spaces. Our deep understanding of design means every pattern, color, and texture is carefully chosen to complement your home. Plus, we use advanced technology and water-based inks for vibrant, eco-friendly prints, ensuring a healthier environment. Visit rollsrolla.com to transform your space today. That's ROLLSROLLA.com today.
All right, Z-Man. The graphic already up there. The Z6 seamless. When Z steps in, part of it's because we work together a lot. He's worked with the volatile Ed Werder late into the evening. I think you know how to handle. Mike is another great guy that works with us at Rogue, and every once in a while, Mike's kind of attitude. He's got a great attitude. But like with Ed, you can't ever like be flippant about something. And Mike has that way of being like, yeah, we'll take care of that or something. And like, Mike, I would just say, Z, you're kind of head down, forward looking attitude. You mesh very well with Ed because Ed's very nice as long as like something doesn't go wrong. he's not very nice. But he's a good friend and you put up with weirdness from friends. Lord knows people put up with it from me. My wife now for 27 years has done that. Just amazing. People are like, Mosley, they did not have me predicted for a long time marriage guy. I don't know if that's true. Maybe they did. Maybe I have my moments. Okay, Z, let's do some Campus Confidential. You see the logo. A lot of people love this segment, and then I'll kind of watch the time because I want to cut out at about 56 or so we can start because Coach Patterson, Gary will try to come in early, and if we're not ready to go, he'll scold us, and he may raise his voice. You just never know what Gary. I mean, think about all the people in my life that are like this. Werder, Gary Patterson. Why do I do this to myself? I know. Corey Dickman. I'm just kidding. He's very nice. he's very volatile. Scotty says the weird thing like, has he ever done this to you? He's like, let's dream about something. Let's dream.
I've heard y'all talk about it before.
That's the weirdest thing that he does. He'll say, let's dream about that. I'm like, I don't dream like that. Please don't say that. Like, guys don't do that.
Well,
he's like, let's dream about, I don't know.
You're saying guys don't dream? Like they can't?
No, we can dream. We just don't say that like in a regular conversation. Let's dream about that. Like, I don't know. It's something I'm trying to embrace. It's just, I can't get, because it's one of his favorite things. And I don't know if it comes from the ministry background that he has. It's a Baylor thing. I don't know, but it's very interesting, and he works it in. I don't know if he can't. I don't know if he picked it up or where. But let's do some Campus Confidential. The Z-Man himself. What do you have in terms of college athletics and college football in particular?
I have a couple of stories for us to sink our teeth in real quick before Coach Patterson shows up. One of those being after your show yesterday, while you were getting ready to watch the Cowboys and Eagles, there was an announcement by the NCAA that they are planning on moving to a single football transfer. Excuse me, if I could get through that, a single football transfer portal window. So what's happening now is the thought of it's proposed a loan window that would be a 10-day period that opens from January 2nd. I think it's going to be one day after the college football playoff quarterfinals are completed, and that'll be the only kind of transfer window portal then for football. They also talked about making or proposing that the entire month of December be a recruiting dead period. So that is the new news there. We're just having the one portal window, which I mean, I don't see a problem with that.
Z, this is good. I mean, this is good. And it was funny. This went down right after we were off the show live, as you said. And Scotty was like, oh, I wish this had happened during our show. Kind of like, I was like, Scotty, I thought we had plenty to talk about. But this is kind of important because what it prevents, this is a little bit of what people are talking about in terms of guardrails. It won't prevent it for graduates. And I don't know if it truly, it's hard to say how enforceable everything is. I mean, Baylor thought they had a contract with a player for, for 7 figures in basketball, and the contract didn't mean anything. He just went to BYU. He felt the calling from the Mormons, and he suddenly ended up in Provo. But to have hard and fast deadlines, it's kind of like, okay, when are we going to do, like, if you're going to have this huge signing day and it's going to be in December now, whenever it is, that early signing day, I say just do one. Do you really need? So that's probably where this is all headed. Like, this is a precursor to sort of doing away with either the early signing period or the late signing period, which is the old one, which is February 3rd. I do think that will need to be condensed or combined and go back to that at some point. But this is good for college football because, like, I mean, that really stinks to, like, work. And it was really bad for, like, the group of 5 type teams. You know, you work like crazy. You get these players through spring drills, and then somebody comes in and poaches them and takes them right out of you. I mean, that's a downer for any school, not just FCS or Group of 5, for any school to have that happen. So now, what's the period? Just say it again for everybody. Z-Man, it's a 10.
It was going to be a 10-day period scheduled to start January 2nd. So it's going to be the first day after the quarterfinals of the playoffs. So I guess that month. Well, hold on. When did the quarter?
So you could still have. Well, no, because those will start in December. Championship game is on usually around like the 13th or something like that. So it'll be at least. I don't know if the quarterfinals or semifinals or whatever. I'm still getting used to the 12-team playoff, and of course then they'll change it and go to 16. And the Big Ten wants like 10 teams guaranteed. I'm so sick of the Big Ten. I know Ohio State's great, and they're coming off a national title, but you don't rule the world. Jeez. It's just like, oh, we want 4 and we should get this and that. It's like, shut up. At least the SEC's kind of like, I mean, they rule the world, but they're kind of like, hey, by saying 4 guarantees, it might end up, limiting us. Let's just kind of leave it wide open, and we may get like 5 or 6 teams in. That's the way to think if you're a true competitor. Whoever that guy is, the CBS guy, came from CBS. What's the commissioner's name of the Big Ten?
Not Sankey.
Used to be Kevin Warren. No, Sankey's SEC.
Yeah, SEC. Of course.
Anyway, this guy bugs me because he's just like.
Are you talking about Tony Petitti?
Yeah, Petitti. Guy just annoys the living out of me. I think we're probably able to cuss on the show, but I don't feel led to really. I feel like sometimes people like almost purposely go out of their way to. I think Pete, like if Pete cusses, it's sort of in the natural Philly. It's his way. Like if I cuss, it's like, oh, Mosley's. It's like I'm not saying I haven't dabbled in that in the past, but even back on radio in Dallas, when I would say hell or something, people are like, oh, I heard Mosley say hell of a whatever, and like, or damn. And it's just like, I felt like I might have been doing it for effect. Now, if I ever have just we have to quote somebody, or I'm on a real roll and I really hit one, then that's okay. I just don't like the forced cussing. Okay, Z? Okay, Z-Man, give us one more. You have one more for us as we do some Campus Confidential, because we never know. That, to me, as much as I love Gary, he could be one of those like Tom Coughlin, annoyingly early guys. I could see him showing up in queue like 56 or 57. But go ahead with one more here.
Last one, I'll make a quote. Another story that came out after the show yesterday. It's come to note that UNC and Bill Belichick have essentially banned the Patriots staff from the program there. There was a call the day before Pat Scout was scheduled to visit practice. They were informed with the call essentially that Pat's staff is not allowed there. Other NFL scouts have came and noted that, yeah, he does like limit how much they're there at practice, like 3 periods, I think is something that was led, and just other, notes that the UNC program is limiting just essentially how much NFL personnel is kind of there, which to me makes sense as a Bill Belichick move. But out of all those teams, yeah, it's only 31 that are there. The Patriots are not one of the teams that are allowed.
Bill, I'd add that. I mean, maybe it's good to change the narrative from just getting your tails knocked in by the frogs. Now, speaking of the frogs, the former TCU, the legendary head coach there for, oh my gosh, did he go 21 seasons, 22? I mean, it's crazy. And it's crazy to think that Scott Drew, by the way, starting his 23rd season at Baylor. Right around the same time, not that far apart, was when Gary came in. Gary would have preceded Scott taking over at Baylor by a couple of years. If I'm doing my math right in my head, he's getting ready right now. He's lining up. We'll bring him on shortly. It is the legendary college football coach, Gary Patterson, returns to the Matt Mosley Show next.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we were hoping Coach Collin would bring that championship mindset to do whatever she has to do to take our workplace culture to the next level.
Well, these donuts are pretty good.
Guys, how we doing?
We're good, Coach.
Craig! What are you doing?
What do you mean?
You have to dunk it.
So far, I think our employees are really enjoying it.
Not everything's a basketball thing.
Did you say something, Craig?
No, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
Dude, I think she likes you.
Central National Bank. proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor Women's Basketball.
Oh, there he is. Gary Patterson. I like how Z did that. Just put Gary right up there. There was no pomp and circumstance. You know, Gary had written out a beautiful introduction, but now that I see you, I'm just going right to you. I love that cap. I don't know what brand that is, but that's kind of a cool ball cap that you have on.
Yeah, it says Little Nine, Shady Oaks.
Ooh.
So 24 years I've been at TCU, just for FYI.
I was trying to do the math. 21
as a head coach and 3 as a coordinator.
That's it. Okay, I knew I was close. So you were already on when I said that you could show up early like Tom Coughlin.
Oh yeah, I heard you. Yeah. Everybody gets their licks. You know, it's like I tell people almost 25 years. I came at 37 and ended at 62. That's what 25 years is. So when you lose, you go through your 40s, you go through your 50s, you do all of it. Coach, basketball coach there, he knows it too. So,
but don't people almost come up to you probably now and go, Gary, you're almost looking younger because first of all, you kind of have a youthful look about you still, and I think you've entered your 60s perhaps. I'm not going to dial down too much on that number.
Matt, just so okay. You have to do the math.
But I have to do a show with Ed Werder, and we talk about Cowboys, and I will say Ed he's the same age, and he looks a little more advanced than you. Hopefully he's not seeing this live right now. He looks a little more mature than you.
That's a good word.
That is interesting because I'm not saying you don't still grind in some ways and you still do a ton of charity and you're doing songwriting, and you've done consulting. It's not that you stopped working, but it's got to feel a lot different. Do people come up and say to you, dude, you look you look even almost younger than when you were coaching?
Yeah. When they start out with you're a legend, that's when you know how they really feel. I was having a great conversation with Matt Carpenter, Major League Baseball player at TCU, played at TCU, that's going in the Hall of Fame. He was a 3-time All-Star, was also played, won a World Series with the Cardinals. And him and I were having a conversation about what you missed. And, we missed a lot of things, players, the coaches, fans, game day, especially the players in game day. But the one thing, both of us, because the way he went about it just really close to how I did, it was a 20-hour day. And so neither one of us misses the grind of what it takes to be great and to know that you get ready for a ball game and do all the things you do. And he just said, he said, you're exactly right. That's the one thing I do not miss, coming out on the golf course or going to dinner and knowing the next morning I have to get up, that I don't have to go in. Because to change TCU, when we did it, I knew that I was going to have a different mindset than anybody else going forward had ever had at the place to change it. I modeled it a lot like Coach Snyder at Kansas State. He'd get home, he'd get there at like 10 o'clock at night after he had dinner, and then they'd start back more meetings. They worked longer at Kansas State than what we did, and we worked a long time as far as lateness, as far as 7 days a week. So, but yeah, that, it was really interesting hearing a guy that played in Major League Baseball, and everybody thinks, well, you take batting practice and then you get ready for the ball game. And, just listening to him talk about how he mentally prepared for the season, for every ball game, how to do it was just awesome. It was fun to listen to. You wish you had players like that. All your players were like that.
Does TCU have a new AD? Did I notice that? Do they have
Mike Buddy came from
Does that change? Have you gotten to know him at all? Or I just wondered how much he's reached out to you. Oh, okay.
I had about a 30-minute meeting with him. That's been,
okay.
Back middle of summer.
Okay.
Not really. I've tried to stay out of their hair and do all that stuff. We're going in the Hall of Fame on TCU Hall of Fame on the 18th of September, the Thursday before we play SMU. So there's 8 or 9. Jason Verrett, that was a first-round draft choice for me, is going in. Preston Morris, Brittany Gibson, which she was a long jumper. There's Richard. We call him Flipper. Richard Sabizma. That he was a swim coach there for like 35 years. So it's a great group. It's a great group. Going to have a big crowd. It's looking forward to it. It's coaches awards like that are different than players. They were the warriors in the arena. Coaches, it's more about the village. You can give yourself credit maybe for the leadership, but really, it's really about the players, the coaches. They're thanking everybody. Somebody asked me about the statue, and I said, well, I didn't want it, but I said the only cool thing about the statue was most people are gone. They're below the dirt when that all happens. And I was able to thank all the people that had helped us build all the facilities. I was able to thank all the players that played up to that point and the fans. And so, but yeah, I think the coolest thing about all of this happened is that it really wasn't about, and I tell people this, it's, I had 5 mayors in Fort Worth, 4 athletic directors, and 3 chancellors. And the thing is, the 3rd chancellor, Mike Moncrief, and all of them were good, Bob Bullen, and then Mayor Barr, then him, and then Betsy Price, and now Maddie Parker, which is fantastic one we have right now. But we set in the spring, I think it was in the spring after we got done with spring ball, and we were talking about how, at that time, really TCU and Fort Worth not necessarily it's not the hate, but they just didn't, they didn't do much for each other. And besides, there was a group of 100 that bought tickets to, keep them moving forward, those kind of things. And so, I just said, what do we need to do? What do we need to do to change that? Because I think the only way TCU is going to become better is if we make Fort Worth better, and vice versa. And really, that's what happened that year. We went to that 2009 went to the Fiesta Bowl. Then we went to the Rose Bowl the next year, and really Fort Worth and the surrounding area and TCU really haven't looked back. You went from like 4,000 applications in 1998 when we came there to Rose Bowl, I think it was around 24,000. And then when they went to the national championship with Coach Dykes, it went up to like 42,000 applications. So, it's, as I tell people all the time, athletics is not the most important part of the house, but it's the most visible. It's the porch. And so you just got to keep painting it and keep doing the things you need to do to. So it's been fun. It's fun to watch, now to do things like this with you, podcasts, be able to chat about everything, and really be more positive than I have to be critical or negative, because I try to stay away from all that stuff. So.
Yeah, that Stoop statue arrived a few years ago when I guess he was still coaching, and it was like we had pictures of it on a flatbed trailer. You remember that?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of pressure, Matt. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I told him to put it on the basketball side. I didn't want it. There's a guy by the name of Bill Parrish that paid for all 3 of those bronzes to be finished, and he had gone into a coma. And when he came out, and I wasn't, I didn't want him coming back and haunting me, It's like when, so he only had a couple things he needed from his family, and he wanted those things finished, and so we went ahead and did it. But the pressure of something like that is, if you believe in trying to live up to expectations, is really tough. And so, I'm very appreciative of the honor, but at the end of the day too, it's it just takes a lot of people to be successful. I think that's why I'm always interested when head coaches leave some programs, and we've had a few through the years that left and they didn't take anybody on their staff. Like, they're the only one that did it. And it just takes a lot of, it takes a lot of people, from boosters, the amount of money being given, to the fans in the stands, and that's one of the coolest things I have here in Fort Worth now. I get a chance to be around everybody else because, when we work, especially 7-8 months a year, where you're working at least 6 days a week. Some days you get certain parts of the year 7 days a week, and you go to work in the dark. You come home in the dark. The only time you're around people is when you showed up at game day and they're in the stands. To be able now to go out and see and thank people, not just TCU people, people that lived in the community here in Fort Worth that supported the team, and be able to tell them thanks because 27 now going on, it's been 27 years, 3 years out, almost 28. Be able to thank all of them is really cool.
Yeah, wasn't that wild, by the way, that Hugh Freeze, you're playing a lot of golf now and your golf game's gotten a lot better because you're putting in more time. That was wild to me that a sitting head coach was, not that he was playing golf, that's fine. You manage your time however you manage your time, because Spurrier did it his way. But that he was turning in so many scores. Wouldn't that, you now that you're kind of in love with golf and you've always liked it, I'm sure, but you're better at it now because you get to spend more time with it. That's crazy to me that a head coach knowing, and of course the way Auburn looked, people can stop making fun of him now against my alma mater, Baylor, but you having lived it and know what the perception is, I almost have to hand it to him for being that honest about his handicap, that he turned in like 10 scores in July, which was a huge recruiting period. I don't know. I don't know if you found that as humorous as I did, that a coach would be that open and turning in his scorecards.
Well, actually, July is their one that goes dead. That's actually for all the coaches, that's their dead time. They can't have anybody on campus. They can't do anything as July till about the end of July. They start in August. So really at the end of June, somewhere, whatever date that Sunday is, changes every year.
Yeah.
But you get done. But yeah, I'd probably myself would probably rather not know anybody know. One thing about Coach Spurrier was he would always play he'd be up 4:30. He wanted to make the appearance of he was playing golf. To be honest with you, though, he would get up 4:30. He'd watch all the film. 5 o'clock, he'd get done, and then he'd go out. And I know Coach Freeze also was a very early guy, but Coach Spurrier would get it. He'd get up way up, then he'd get in. So he'd come off the course about time to have his 9 o'clock meeting, or whenever he had it, and went about his business. So everybody does it different. But one thing for sure, the one thing you have to do if you want to do that, you got to win. Not many people are going to say much to you as long as you win.
No.
But for here, my whole purpose was we needed to keep building, and there was a lot of areas that just we had to keep getting improving in. And one of the things that happens, after being here for as long as I was, is the next guy always gets a lot more, and there need to be some improvements need to be done at TCU. And those things happen for for Coach Dykes when the new head coach comes in. And so, it's all positive. It's once you get over, you get over. I tell people though, staying as long as I did, everybody talks about, well, you wouldn't turn down the portal or NIL. I said, well, I did. I stayed. There was a couple schools that were probably $2 or $3 or $4 million more what they were offering me to leave. In great schools, and I stayed at TCU. And so I think the thing that I was, I'd moved enough when I was a young coach. I didn't feel like I needed to. Coaches don't have, when you get done at the end of the day, you don't have a lot of people that you could say they're really close friends. And Fort Worth, as long as I was here, I would be able to say that I did have.
What was the hard? I just remember Taft got offered USC many years ago, and stayed at Baylor for probably a lot less money, kind of like what you're talking about. What was the closest you ever came? Yeah, because you had those offers, and I got to think one of them might have been your Well, I just can think of some of the places that you've loved over the years. What was the
Well, yeah,
one
really,
where you came the closest?
Every major conference, ADs and schools get a little bit, if it ever comes out, who it's kind of like, that old joke about why the average guy is you see him with a pretty girl, because the good looking guy, he's scared to ask because they may say no. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a long time ago, but all of them were great schools. The difference for me was I was close to my parents. It was only about 5 hours. My sons had a place for them to come, that there was constants when they came to town. And the players, and it's like I do now. I've had over 800 guys. I'm trying to run this list down of everybody's phone numbers now, of 800 guys that came through in 25 years, and that's just a lot of guys. And so, I wanted to make sure that these guys had somebody to call. Somebody, when coach changes every 3 years, that they lose their contact of who the person was at the university, and some of them didn't have moms and dads. And so we got to Fort Worth. It felt like a small town feel, but they also had the position where it had a great recruiting base, the Metroplex, East Texas, Houston, you name it. We had a great recruiting base, and when I needed something to be built, we raised the money and we were able to get it built. And it's, as they say sometimes, the grass is not green. You just got to water your own grass sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you got to water your own grass. You got to make it better. So many of the younger group, they saw me on TV and I look like this most intense dude. So a lot of people use the A word as far as, what they thought I was like. But at the end of the day, my purpose was to make sure I changed TCU, I changed Fort Worth, got guys degrees, and also if they had the potential, the program was set up. The program was set up to be able to develop guys that could be free agents or 6th or 7th round picks. Well, if you develop guys that nobody thought would get a chance to go play in the NFL, it's definitely going to be good enough for your 1st and 2nd round draft choices. They're gonna get better also. And so to do that, you have to have a little bit different attitude about how it is. And that's usually what I hear on the golf course. It's like, Coach B, it's great you're out here, but you're a lot different than what we thought you were. I guess they thought, and I came from a little town of, if you don't understand about country people, one of the songs I just got done with, it says, and they'll wave at you driving down the street. I mean, that's, where I came from, you needed to wave at somebody going down the highway for the simple reason you may not see another person for 30 to 45 minutes. And so I needed somebody to at least know that I came by.
Well, I mean, Texas should have come after you at one point. I would say K-State may have come calling. Arkansas was mentioned. I'll just try to fill in some of the holes since you won't mention any of the names. But
well, you can go to. Let me say this to you, Matt. You can go to every Power Four conference, and it'll have 3 or 4 from all of them. And it wasn't. I'll tell you a great story. One of them, it said that's your job, and we had about a 45-minute conversation, and I explained to him why. Because they had just fired a guy that was not from that university, and I basically told him that it's not that I didn't think I could win, because it was probably a top 3 school in that conference, and it was more about you need to get back to have a person from that area to get back because it fit the people. And then he said, well, so what else would you tell me? I said, well, yeah, get out of that 3-man front. I know who you can recruit, get back to a 4-man front. And we both, and every time I see him and I laugh. I mean, it's like now I'm big into really trying to have my ears down to the pavement about how changing maybe the portal, how NIL, because I was part of foundations. I was the president of the American Football Conference. And so for me, I didn't stay in this business for 42 years, and the opportunity I had as a young coach that to go to waste and not have the same young coaches not have the same possibility that I did. And to be honest with you, keep I hear about, NIL and change it. At the end of the day, you still got to develop kids, not just physically, but mentally, because still 99% of them are still going to end up not going to the NFL. So they need to get a degree. They need to do it. Now, that said, because everybody, when somebody talks like that, I mean, I raised a lot of money before that final year that I had, because I said it wasn't going to be great for college football. And where it is right now, it's not great for college football, because as usual, it's gone from one end of the spectrum to the other. But it's better for the student athletes now, where they can help their families and they can move forward in life. But somewhere we have to get back to the middle where we still do all that. We still help with they're getting money and they can help their families and they can help themselves. But what's really going to end up helping you is finding some way. Because really, I probably learned more going to college that wasn't in a book. How to get along with people, how to set goals. In the game of football, how to learn how to work hard, accountability, all those kind of things that I think people are fighting. There's a large majority that are still fighting for it. And to be honest with you, we've got to protect all of college athletics. I'm talking about women's sports, Olympic sport.
Looks like we just lost Gary somehow.
So.
Oh, okay. Lost you there for a second, but there you are.
We started talking about NIL, so everybody gets kind of, touchy about that. So all of a sudden
we had to censor you real quick from some of that. It is Gary Patterson on the Matt Mosley show. That's bad, Coach, to put me on camera because first of all, I don't have my usual sunglasses that I'm more comfortable with, and
you look fine, Matt.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hair's getting a little out of control, but golly, that shady.
That's why you may work on wearing a hat like I am. Then you don't have to worry about it.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, in fact, I got my Lake Highlands cap tonight. We got a game against North Garland. Should be a win, but I'll have to get out there and do that. I did want to say something about the college football kickoff show. It's locked in, and it's on YouTube. And Drake Toll, who was a co-host of mine at ESPN Central Texas at one point, does a nice job hosting that. I don't want him to hear me bragging on him, but he does a nice job. And then Jesse Holly is on with you. And then you'll have that team of, you'll talk about a matchup. And then you'll go off to the Locked On Network and whoever's on that specific school. And it's pretty cool. It's a good show. It's like 30 minutes. You're in studio. Looks like a nice TV studio wherever you guys are doing that. But I'm liking it. And I wanted to tap into your coaching brain for a minute. Because on that show, you got to hit marks, right? Coach, you got 30 seconds or you got 45 seconds to talk. I'm giving you longer than that on this question. My alma mater goes to SMU. Okay, you had to go into the Big 12. And there was a little bit of a ramp-up period. SMU goes into the ACC, goes to the college football playoff the first year. I get it that things have changed like crazy. But as you've kind of looked and preparing for your show now, this Baylor-SMU matchup, two old SWC rivals. Baylor desperately needs a win. SMU's 16 in the country, so obviously people think highly of them. What do you break this one down for me? Because you got two really accomplished, talented quarterbacks. Baylor's got a great running back. SMU, a little bit more of unknown. Where would you start with this one? When you kind of look at this matchup, what do you think this comes down to?
Well, I watched both games, not as the total game of SMU's once it got out of hand a little bit. But I would probably say that Coach Lashley wasn't overly happy, that East Tennessee played a little bit better than what they liked them to as far as that kind of game that they wanted. Yeah, I think you'll see it. I think you'll see a better SMU team, going forward. They've got some players that they have to replace from last year. And so for me, that was one of those games that when you just start a laundry list of all the things that we need to improve on. In Baylor's case, I think reality somewhere in between. I don't think because of the record last year, a lot of people gave Auburn credit. I thought Auburn, especially on defense, was way physical. Their front, especially the one defensive end, is going to be a first-round pick. I thought their corners were really, really good. It was one of those things where it was hard to get separation. So I think you have, in Baylor's case, I think reality comes in between because I watched them a year ago. I think offensively they have a chance to be still really good because they're fast, especially their wideouts. But I watched, you talked about the running back, the tight end. What did he catch? Like 12, 13 balls last week. And so then defensively, it's, you lose a Jackie, which they were a little bit thin at defensive line. You lose a guy like Jackie that's an all-conference player. I think it hurts him. But I think just a little bit I watched, Paul Gonzalez, I think is going to be a great addition to their defense staff because I thought the corners played better as far as, not having anybody really behind them, all those kind of things. I think there's a confidence level of all that, and the linebacker's good. I think I think it's going to be a great matchup, and for both teams, it's gonna change which freeway they go down, because both of them are trying to one's trying to win the Big 12, one's trying to win the ACC and get back to the playoffs. Not that Baylor's not, but a lot of people had Baylor picked that way. You couldn't have known that going into the ball game that Auburn was going to run as much quarterback, I call it power read, as they did in the ball game, because the guy had never played with him before, that quarterback. And so you didn't know how the offense was going to use him. So I think it's going to be a ball game that everybody's going to pay attention to closely, because I think it's going to skyrocket one going one direction. It's going to make the other one feel like they have to go back to the drawing board a little bit.
Boy, you would have hated that, like being in a situation where a quarterback was running all over you. And I can just imagine all the things you would have been adjusting or trying to do. And it had to be maddening for Dave Aranda, who you worked with and have gotten to know, for Jackson Arnold to run for 137 yards. And as you said, Jackie Marshall, their best defensive lineman, did go out. But there's something demoralizing about knowing what a quarterback's doing over and over again and then still not being able to stop it. And it's not the first time we've seen anybody do that. But I don't know, for a guy who's covered Baylor, and obviously, I want Baylor to win. I'm not always as neutral as I need to be when it comes to that school. That's a demoralizing, tough thing to watch when you can't. And you called it the quarterback read. I mean, I think Baylor just couldn't. I don't know. I mean, what is that about? Like, what do you have to, when you see a quarterback doing that over and over again? Did you see just a lack of tackling, or just they never could quite figure it out?
Well, I don't know if I had watched Auburn enough last year to know if they were using the same formations to do all that. You weren't always very happy with me back when we had the rivalry of Baylor and TCU. So before I forget it now, Drake told. So I wake up in the morning once they saw that he and I and Jesse were going to be on college football kickoff. And TCU people start pulling up all these tweets that he said when he worked for, I don't know if it was Baylor Barstool 247 or whatever for the university. And so his whole reason why he got paid was to bash Gary Patterson and TCU. So when I got to the studio, I showed him some of the tweets that he put out. He said, "Coach, I was 20 and this is how I was paying my rent and how I was doing things." I said, I know, Drake. It's not a big deal. It's like, so, you have to be, it's funny because he's like 24 and Jesse's like 41 and then I'm 65. So it's almost 40 years. It's almost 40 years between him and I. And so I'm supposed to be a little bit more the adult and help him get where he needs to get to, right? and I do. And I'm gonna tell you, I think he's very talented. I think he's got a lot of energy, very talented. He likes what he does. And I mean, that's, I like being around, that's the best part now is I'm always going to be a Horned Frog, but now I get a cheer. Obviously, I went down to Baylor to help. I went to Texas to help. I mean, I've been over, spoke at SMU's clinic. I get really good friends, a couple coaches that are at Texas Tech. So, I mean, I've pretty much covered the state of Texas when it comes to all that.
Yeah.
And that's why, even with Dave Arandi, it's, he has Jared Anderson and Paul Gonzalez, both guys that were with me, really good coaches, really good people. And so I'm very careful because, you gotta honor people that do the right things. And so,
yeah,
in all the cases, it's everybody wants to win. You know what people don't realize, Matt, it's not the head coach. When you talk about people getting let go, when a staff, things happen, so you want to help them all. It's 34 to 40 families.
Yeah.
The head coach got paid enough. He's going to be okay, but it's all those other, and nowadays people don't just take the full-time guys. It's all the analysts, all the GAs. Sometimes it's all the strength coaches, you name it. I mean, they get rid of everybody. And so my perspective has always been like that. And it'll always be, but I'm even more careful because that's, I got in this business to you have to win to keep your job, but more importantly, to grow guys up, to help them get on their way. I've got over 50 guys from high school to every level of college to the NFL. And it's fun for me. And it's fun for me. And like when I went to Baylor, the guys I met there, the young coaches, how I got every one of their resumes. So that, someday if somebody called and so I could pull them out and be able to talk more about them. And it'd be, Texas was the same way. And so at the end of the day, it's everybody has to win their job. The fans, that's what they pay for. That's why they buy their ticket. They have, that's what they do. For me, it's a little bit different perspective now. If you put me back in a position where if I would someday go back to be a head coach, then my perspective has to go because somebody's paying me to go win ball games. That's what I'm supposed to do. And this is how we're going to do it. And so but right now, all I got to worry about is I have enough golf balls in my bag and try to shoot somewhere around a high 70, low 80 number. Try not to get myself hurt, get a chance to talk to people on the golf course and play in less than 2 hours and 15 minutes. Play 18 holes because we play polo golf. And this 5 hours. I'm not playing 5 hours, Matt. I mean, I watch too much film. I mean,
if you were still head coach, even though you would still come on with me back then, you would never be able to give me this much time. Let me ask you this though: you're not officially, what it sounds like to me, reading between the lines, is you're still open to whatever comes along. You're still a young man at 65, and I think you seem like you have a ton of energy. You haven't closed any doors, so you're not willing to make like an official, I've retired from consulting / coaching from college football on the Mosley show today. Is that correct?
Well, one of the things people have to understand is to be qualified for the College Hall of Fame, unless you were 70, you had to be out of coaching, being a head coach for 3 years.
Okay.
And so this third season just happened. So that's why I was on the ballot. I'm on the ballot for the College Hall of Fame this year. And so, we're going in the TC Hall of Fame and going on the ballot for the College Hall of Fame. And so it was just a goal. It wasn't like it was the most important thing, but, and the reason for it's kind of like going in the TCU Hall of Fame, what I talked about earlier. It's about the village. You were there. We did some, and I say we did some unbelievable things that had not been done at TCU in those 24, 25 years. And they're now carrying it forward. And so I want to make sure that the people that were part of that are honored. And the only way you can honor, a player, he goes into it. You talk about 3 or 4 years he played and what he did. When a coach, when a coach goes in the Hall of Fame, you're talking about the city. You're talking about the city, the surrounding areas, everybody that was part of it, the players, the coaches, the administration, the mayors, the people that gave money. I mean, you talk. And so for me, that's really why I decided that was a goal. to get to before maybe going back, and if I would ever decide to go back and be a head coach, because I just felt like it was something that how I would repay TCU, and I would repay Fort Worth for being so loyal to me.
So wait, the clock started on that. Did it have anything to do with the consulting? Does the clock starts after head coaching? Okay, cool.
So are you going to? Coach Saban's going in this year. Coach Saban's going in this year, and he didn't have to wait 3 years because he's over 70 years old. Him and Urban Meyer are the two. You know, they only take a couple coaches a year in the College Hall of Fame, and so for me,
you're too young. You're just too young to go. But you should not have to wait. Until you're 70. It's a no doubt, no brainer that you need to go into this thing. So and you're already in a lot of Hall of Fames, but this one will be very exciting to see you going on the TCU thing, Gary. Will you come to I don't know how all this works. Will there be something at the stadium at halftime? Will there be a dinner? Will you attend all those things?
Yeah, the 18th is actually a banquet for all the people, girls and guys that are going in the Hall of Fame. And then the 20th is the SMU game, and then I don't remember when they'll have us on the field and announce us. I don't know when they do that.
Yeah.
What quarter or halftime or whatever it is. But again, it's a lot of fun for me. It's just been fun talking to all the recipients that are going in and get a chance to spend time with them. I haven't seen Jason Verrett's mom and dad since he stopped playing.
Yeah.
His wife. I see Matt Carpenter a lot, but it's most all of them except one was at TCU in the time that I coached there. And so that's a lot of fun for me because I spent a lot of time in the weight room, not just around football players, but around all the different sports that came through. And so that it's going to be a lot of fun for me.
All right, man, this is fun. I love doing this, and I'm jealous, openly jealous that other people get to have you on that weekly podcast. But that Locked On family, it's a very serious group, and it's a good-looking production value that you had. There was one thing that you did on fourth down that I was going to finish with. It had to drive like Phil Bennett nuts that Art used to go for it on his own 30 and his own 40. Certainly as a defensive coach, you probably came at that differently. You even had the stats to back it up. This year, it'll move toward people going for it on fourth down probably over 2 times a game. When you were coaching, it's even changed from probably like 1.5 times to 1.9, I think it was, or whatever. Aranda is like the extreme, and Joey's a little bit like this at Texas Tech too. Aranda the other night seemed like he went like 7 times or something. Like part of that was they got in a track meet and he felt like he had to keep up and all of that. But like, if you were to become a head coach again, like, you think you would have you seen enough analytics now to like give you a little different perspective? And do you think you would have a different perspective, or do you still have so much of that defense in you that you wouldn't, you still, I heard you say something like you still have to kind of trust your gut or go with your feel. And what's interesting in hearing you say that, there's a whole nother school of thought. Let's go up to the booth and let's go. What's the analytics guy saying? What does the chart say? And boy, some people hold to that chart almost like old coaches hold to their gut, right? Do you think you would you be different in that area if you took over a team moving forward?
No, I mean, like I said on the show, we beat, Boise State. They had a 56-game winning streak. The goal, like even I think of 2-point plays just like I do fourth down. And Boise, West Virginia, when they had the quarterback that's now he's the starter for wherever he's at. Vegas.
Gino. Yeah.
Gino was, at Austin. You had all these players, and we went for 2 and won both of those. Okay. And then Oklahoma, like, it's just a situation like Oklahoma. We're playing them on Saturday night there we come back and we go for 2 and the guy tips the ball away. It was already 11:30 at night. Okay. If I go to triple overtime against Oklahoma, that we were playing Baylor then on a short week on a Friday, and we were already going to get home at like, 3 or 4 in the morning anyway. So what I tried to do is still want to maybe have a chance to be 2-0 or at least be 1-1, but I didn't want to take all the emotion out of my team. And we ended up going into overtime with Baylor the next Friday in 2015, and ended up, in a rain game that was cold, one of the colder games I've ever been a part of, and ended up stopping them on 4th down. But, in COVID year in 2020, we went on it like on the 20 or 30 yard line at the end of the ball game. We had like a 4th and 3, and if I punted, they had enough time to be able to come back down the field. So we went for it. And I actually called timeout because I saw them pinch, take their defensive line. Everybody took the inside gaps to take away the inside zone. And so I just, I changed the call, which I don't mess with the offense a lot, but I told them to run a fly sweep that we had in our arsenal. And we went about 14 yards, got the first down. Then we kind of killed more time. Then we ended up, so we went on 4th down in that case. Then we ended up walking back, and they did a punt hold instead of rushing the punter. So he held it for about 15 to 20 seconds, ran out of the back of the end zone, took a safety, and then they had about 6 or 8 seconds left when we punted to them to have about 1.5, 2 plays to be able to get done, and that didn't happen. But like I said in that program, it's important to know how good a defense each was, especially how good a defense did they play in the red zone on the goal line. What kind of plays do you feel like that you have? Because there's 2 types of plays. There's what I call power 4th down deals, where you feel like you can just hand the ball off and double team and knock people off the ball, and you can do that to them. And then, what I call design 4th down plays, where you've seen them enough on film in those situations or when they call things that you can design something. I don't like it, then I'm just going to run my offense. And because like I said on the show, for a defensive guy, if you turn the ball over and you don't make a 4th down and you're in a position where you could have kicked a field goal, I think of that as a takeaway. I think that as a turnover. I'm going to get the ball back. You didn't score, especially nowadays when people go somewhere on the 40, 45, 50, all those different times. Now, if you're like you were talking about with Phil Bennett and Art, and some of those years, they were scoring 40, 50 points. And so you could understand why he wanted to do that, because he felt like even if he didn't get it this series, he was going to come down and score more. If that's the case, great. If you're going to win, you're going to be in a situation where you're going to have to both teams are playing great defense. You're going to have to win a 1 touchdown game, maybe. Then maybe you would do it differently than that. And so I think there's a little bit more than, okay, it's 4th and 1 to 3. Analytics said go for it, no matter what. There's still a point about how do you win a ball game. And if you look, there's actually a graphic, you'll have to look it up, Matt, that says if you start inside your 10-yard line coming out, you're only got a certain percentage of time that you got a chance to go score.
Yeah.
You go 90 yards. And then if you get out to the 25-yard line, then the percentage gets higher. You get to the 50, the percentage gets higher. You get in their side of the ball, it gets higher. And so there's also those analytics that nobody talks about right now, of those analytics where, you can do it. The other thing that's interesting to me, and I'll keep watching, is right before half, you really have to know who's going to get the ball the second half first. So, for example, and it was discussion in the Clemson LSU game. Right before half, LSU had the ball down, it was like 6, 7, 8. There was like 15 seconds left. If they kick the field goal, they get it down to a 1-score game. And Clemson's going to get the ball at the end of the second half. Okay. Didn't. Now, Clemson came down the field, but they missed the field goal. So it stayed at a 1-score game instead of, and I think those kind of things play into your decision making. Okay. But it also, and has to do with, well, how have we been stopping them? I mean, think about it. If you haven't been stopping them all game, why wouldn't you go on fourth down all the time? Okay. If I was a defensive guy and I'm playing an offense, I want to keep them off the field because the best defense is standing on the sidelines. They can't gain any yards when you're standing on the sidelines. And that goes along with all the offensive analytics and doing things. But you got, for me as a head coach in the week, I'm going to ask them 2-point play, and I'm going to ask them fourth downs. Do you have at least 2 or 3 things that you've designed, not just things they start working on in 2-a-days? You know, some people, I got my 2-point plays and I got my fourth down plays. And is it good against what they do? You know, they're good 2-point plays, or fourth down plays, but are they good against what they do? And so I at least want to have a conversation going into the game that they have confidence that this has got a better than 50% chance that it's going to work, because we've seen enough of them on film that we know probably this is what they're going to be in. And if we run the play, that we're going to have an advantage. You know, if that's the case, I'd go on. If I had an advantage every time I did, I'd go all the time on fourth down, because, you're only going 1 to 3. I look at the NFL though. I mean, the NFL, when they get in fourth down and 3, even third down and 3, it's a passing down. I mean, they think throw more than they think run nowadays. Probably over the last, maybe 8 to 10 years, that it's got to get down to 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. When we used to break people down, even in college, you see them when they got to 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. That was a passing down. That was not a rundown. And the only time it became a rundown is if they were thinking that we're gonna also go for it on fourth down. A lot of times. And so you had to understand that as a defensive coach too, that going into it, well, this is the mindset. It's like you talked about with Coach McGuire, his first year he beat, and I was part of the Texas staff, he beat Texas and Oklahoma because he went about every fourth down he went for it. He must have went 8 to 10 times in both those ball games. But I don't think he's doing it as much anymore. This last season, I don't think he did as many fourth downs as he did his first couple years as a head coach. And so there's a little bit of all the rest of that stuff that we just talked about that plays into being a guy that's, because you've got to look at the facts. I mean, it is what it is, but then you've got to put some more, you got to interject all this other stuff into it to make sure that if you're going to get, it's like Coach Fran, he was my head coach for a long time when I was the coordinator. When I became the head coach, the best thing he ever said to me was, "You're an emotional coach." He said, "You need to think about what you want to say before the game when you win, and you need to think about what you're going to say when you lose, and then interject some facts in the ball game and do all of it. And that way you won't." And I probably broke that rule only 3 or 4 times in 20 years. And each time I got thrown against the wall because it didn't turn out real great. And so you just got to be wise about how everybody has to be able to have a good plan of why you do something.
Well, I love this. I really appreciate the time. Now, do you have your guitar there? Is there any song that we need to know about that you've been working on? You referenced the one about driving down the street. I'd like to hear that. You had one you did for college football one year that I really liked. That was a fun one. And then some of these benefits you've done with some of those great singers from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. You've had some collaborations you've done. Anything we need to be looking for on Spotify, or any Gary Patterson releases coming out?
Well, there's one that's that I do. I haven't recorded. I have about 5 or 6 that I'm probably, after the 3 I did for Spotify, it's been more about writing. I wanted to check the box, because the 3 that are on Spotify, Take a Step Back, was about when we were in COVID and get back to family. And it was a fun song. And then when college football was thinking, I actually put it to a video of all the Big 12 teams. It's on YouTube. It's called Game On. A guy by the name of JT Hodges, which is a TCU guy. He was a guy in Nashville. He was I think back in like 2011, somewhere in there. He was like newcomer of the year in Nashville, male newcomer of the year. And so I go and write those. And so it was about, if football started back, we wanted to really have something that was, you could show and watch everybody. And we put all the Big 12 teams on it. And then when my days were done at TCU, it was actually, I don't know if you know, do you know who Jim Beavers is?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's a Baylor guy. Okay. He's a Baylor grad, but I got to know him because he was his son when he came through looking to what school. His son ended up going to Baylor. But he came through TCU, and his roommate at Baylor is now, their kids went to school at TCU. So we brought him through my office to help recruit him to come to TCU, the son. So I didn't know, but he was part of, I think he's wrote 7 or 8 number one hits, part of a collage of writers that wrote. One was like Red Solo Cup.
Wow.
And so he said, he helped me finish the song. He came through town before, but then I'd got him tickets to the Baylor game in 2021. And then he said, well, you're not going to be the coach. And I said, that's fine. Take the tickets, enjoy yourself. And the next day he calls me back. And says, I got a song. It was called The Day I Walk Away. And so that's the third song, and basically it was saying thank you to TCU and the people, and like the second verse is like, the pressure, the heartbeat of the crowd, the pressure of the how you feel when you walk on, when I walked on the Rose Bowl, how you felt. And then the heartbeat of the crowd, you could always feel the emotion of what it was. But RC had a song, and he was talking to Philip Fulmer about Philip had got let go at Tennessee, and they were talking about their lives. And I'd called RC because he was going through beating cancer. And when I called, this was right after I was at Texas, and he was talking about, he had, and I asked him, because there was 4 or 5 schools asking me if I wanted to come back and be a head coach at this time. And I was trying to decide if I wanted to jump back in, because, 50 years, going back to 9 years old, I'd always had a job, Matt.
Yeah.
My dad took me to the fields, he let me take a nap, but then we were back working until it got dark. But, so I asked him, he said, well, I can't tell you, all the reasons why I didn't go back to coach, but I'm telling you the reasons why I'm glad I didn't. He said about 2 or 3 months into chemo, and it wasn't looking good, and he had to ask himself a question: if I don't make it, did I live my life where I had no regrets? And so, and then he started telling me. So he started telling me the story about him and Philip, and I tell the story about 100 pennies, so it's easier for people to understand. But I think he took change out of his pocket and basically said, okay, Philip, how old are you? And he said, 57. He said, yeah, I'm going to take these 57 pennies off the table. He said, now you may live to 100, but after 80, it's not going to be what you want it to be. So we're going to take those 20 pennies off the table. He said, so how are you going to do your last 23 pennies? Well, I'm 65, so I'm down to my last 15 pennies. So the song is called The Pennies of Your Life. And I actually played it at Joe T. Garcia's here in Fort Worth 2 or 3 weeks ago for the group raising money for the Mystic, the flood victims.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's basically about being optimistic, about counting back, and don't be the person that says, well, I'm going to do this when I retire, that you really got to get out. So it's called The Pennies of Your Life. And the middle verse is actually about, I needed a way. Toby Keith and I were very good friends. Probably not as good as Bob or someone, but I got to know him really well. And when he was going through all of his cancer stuff, I'd call him every couple of weeks. I asked him if I could use the term of how do you like me now? In the song, he has the song, How Do You Like Me Now? Because I really think that's what happens to everybody in the world. When you get out of college, you go from your 20s to 55, 60. You try to prove, you run so fast trying to prove this is where I belong.
Yeah.
So the song talks about me sitting down at a table listening to these 2 guys talk. And then the middle one is getting from your 20s to your 50s. And then it says Father Time's counting down. You need to make sure that you enjoy everything that you can in your life. And when I play the song, when I play different singer-songwriter deals or whatever, that sticks. It really grabs people really 45 to 50 and older.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because when we're younger, we don't think we think that we're never going to have to worry about all that stuff. But I played it for a lot of people, and it's a cool one. Now, I also have one that I just got done writing. It's called "No Good, Low Down, Two-Time Loser," which is really fun. I wrote it about all my friends that were knuckleheads when they were about 15. And I've got another one that's called "Your Shadow Will Find You." But I just have I have a lot more time. So instead of the creativity stopping people on defense, night at about 10:30 at night when everybody goes to sleep, I put my phone up and I record ideas I have so I don't forget them. And it's really I've got a couple. One for sure that somebody's already did on it's called "You Gotta Love Somebody." I actually wrote it for a girl to sing, but a guy here in the Fort Worth area put it on his EP. We'll see when it comes out. I can talk about it, but Ben McPherson's his name, but he's a really good fiddle player.
Yeah.
So we were writing together, and so he liked the song. So I was very honored that he put it on his first EP. So I'm having as you can tell, that's probably the thing I'm having besides my grandkids.
Yeah.
I'm probably enjoying that part of everything besides going down to Baylor in Texas, and I've helped other schools. I really still love being around the players. I still love being around the young coaches, the people they have in their administrations. I mean, Baylor, both places, Baylor and Texas, two places I really, and Missouri State's another place I went. Really enjoyed the people inside, because what people don't understand, people inside of athletic departments are just really, most people in athletics are just great people.
Yeah.
I mean, they know that. I mean, they're people persons. That's what they do. And so for me, it's just fun. It's just fun to be around new people. And it's also fun because so I'm going to tell you a story about a guy that I sat at a dinner before the spring game two springs ago, not this last one, the one. And so I sat there and I said I'd come, and I brought my guitar and I played it. So we sat at dinner and got it. And so I got up and I played that Penny song to him. And afterwards he said, you ruined my life. And I said, well, I mean, how did I do that? One of Baylor's boosters. And he said, well, I had 4 or 5 constants in my life, and one of those was I hated Gary Patterson. Okay. And he said, now I sit at a table with you and I find out I watch the kids and they respect you and they like you. And I had a really good time talking to you. And then you get up and you write music and you sing music. He said, so you've ruined my life. I said, I had these 5 constants in my life, and one of them's gone now because, I hate Gary Patterson. And so then I wake up one morning seeing these texts that Drake Toll is you're a loser. And Coach, he said, that's what they paid me to do. I said, I get it. I understand the concept. So, and him and I are having a great time on the program now.
Yeah.
But it's just like my own sons. I have 36, 30, 26, my 3, and then 3 grandkids. But I would tell you, pennies of your life. I mean, you got to make sure that you do everything you'll be able to do. So
I appreciate it. It resonates because we just dropped off our daughter at school, and as you and I were joking about, you said that you predicted that I will be in Maroon at some point. I think you know me better than that, but she's at Texas A&M, and that's a tough rite of passage when you do that, when you've had them at home and all that kind of thing. But Coach, this was so much fun, and I'm loving that show, college football kickoff show, and it's really well done. And you and Jesse have nice chemistry. It's only going to get better, and it's just fun having you. And so, if like you did in the old days on my old radio show, if there's ever a time you'll let me just have a sample of like one of your new songs, I'll just release it. And I'll let my audience hear a little bit of it, and we'll react and that kind of thing. So keep me in mind when you get ready to drop one. But I love this. I always love catching up with you. And usually, of course, I'm a late night guy, as you know, and that's usually when our conversations happen. So it was fun to do one right out here in front of everybody. And I can only guess that there were thousands upon thousands who joined us along the way. But thank you for doing this.
Well, yeah, and it's fun for me. It's the show is on Amazon Fire.
Yeah.
And then it goes to YouTube. But anything that's on that you can get on Amazon. In fact, somebody saw it on Apple, on Spotify. It's just gonna. I think it's just gonna keep climbing. It's fun because we try to make it fun, and the age group difference, I think, really helps us because you have the energy on one side and then a different type of energy on the other. And all three of us have a lot of fun, and we don't have any egos. For me, it's they're of their age. It's help them become something, whatever they want to become. That's the purpose now.
Yeah, if you can hold Drake's ego in check, you've really accomplished something. Thank you.
I'm going to let you just make sure you said that, and you tell him.
We just need to find him a new barber, but his Savannah bananas, all that. That's good stuff. That's good. Okay, Gary, thank you, and we'll be watching the college football kickoff show weekly, and that's on that Locked On network, and as he said, Spotify, Apple, everywhere. Gary, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on.
There he goes. There he goes. Gary Patterson, the legend himself. He'll soon be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Should already be in there, but I guess you have to wait a certain amount of time and all these things. So, all right, Z-Man, you've done great today. You didn't know we're going to take it like a full hour. Thank you to all our unbelievable. The Landing, Brazos Landing. We love you, Lindsay's. We love you so much. CNB, Central National Bank, presenting sponsor. We just have so many great sponsors. And then that great law firm, Craig Cherry and Johnson, and Sigmund and James, incredible group there. And then you see it, Ascension Providence, incredible work that they're doing out there. Thank you for everybody. We will have a great rest of the weekend. I'll be at Baylor SMU. I'll be reacting to all that on Monday at 1:00 live. For Z, I am Matt Mosley. You've been watching The Matt Mosley Show. Thanks.